My friend, let us begin with a truth so absolute that most men, though they hear it, never truly understand it. You are the cause of all that you experience. Your thoughts are the architects of your reality. Your beliefs are the blueprints. Your actions are the construction. And your results, whether they be glory or grief, are the structure you have built with your own mental hands. Now I ask you, what are you building? You may not like your answer, but I tell you this with unwavering certainty. If the world is ignoring you, it is because you have not yet demanded your own attention. You are still uncertain, still undecided, still allowing the winds of chance to blow your mind from one half-hearted thought to another. The man who cannot hold his own mind cannot expect to hold the attention of the world. But the moment you claim your mind, discipline it, direct it, dominate it, the world begins to notice, not at once, not with applause, but with a slow and undeniable pull toward your presence. This is not a game of noise. It is a law of nature. The world cannot ignore power. Not brute force, but the subtle power of certainty. The unmistakable weight of a man who has made up his mind and refuses to surrender it. Let us begin where all power begins, with a definiteness of purpose. This is not simply having a goal. It is not making a wish. It is the deliberate, intelligent decision to make one aim the central focus of your mind, your days, your energy, and your life. It is the one decision that erases 10,000 distractions. You do not become unignorable by being involved in everything. You become unignorable by being devoted to one thing so fully, so completely, that the world must acknowledge the clarity of your presence. A man with no purpose is invisible. A man with purpose cannot be missed. Ask yourself right now, without excuse, without editing, what is the one thing I must achieve in this life? Do not say, I'm not sure. Say instead, I have not yet decided, because decision is within your reach. It is not the lack of knowledge that holds men back. It is the lack of decision. And decision, once made with total commitment, transforms a man's very nature. You begin to speak differently. You walk differently. You rise before others. You endure beyond others, because now you are led not by feeling, but by purpose. Now you may wonder, how do I bring this purpose to life? And I will tell you, through the most powerful principle known to man, autosuggestion. You must speak to your mind before the world does. Every morning, every night, with repetition, with emotion, with belief. You must feed your subconscious mind the identity of the man you intend to become until your entire nervous system accepts it as law. You are not convincing others. You are reprogramming yourself. Your subconscious does not care what is true. It cares what is repeated. And if you have spent years repeating fear, doubt, and limitation, then do not be surprised when your reality reflects the same. But if you begin today, right now, to repeat confidence, decision, power, discipline, and purpose, then in time, your external world will bend to match your internal vision. This is not fantasy. It is fact. It is the foundation of all lasting success. You must build in your mind a mental picture of who you are becoming, and then act as if it were already true. This is the secret behind all transformation. Behavior comes not from current identity, but from the identity you assume to be true. You will not rise by feeling. You will rise by thinking the way the man you wish to be would think long before the results have shown themselves. Now, let us go further. Every man must confront fear, the silent killer of dreams, the destroyer of thought, the suffocator of action. Fear is not real in the sense that it has no form. It is simply a misuse of imagination. But it becomes real when you allow it to direct your decisions. You may ask, how do I overcome fear? And I answer you, not by avoiding it, but by understanding it, confronting it, and acting in spite of it. Fear thrives on hesitation. Starve it with decisive movement. When you feel afraid, act. When you doubt, move. When you're uncertain, decide. You cannot think your way out of fear. You must build faith through action. And faith, my friend, is not a gift. It is a discipline. It is forged through repetition. You must speak power, not panic. Speak certainty, not speculation. Speak belief, not begging. You must train your subconscious to accept only the thoughts that serve your destiny. And how do you know which thoughts serve it? Simple. They are the thoughts that create movement. Thoughts that paralyze you are not yours. Thoughts that empower you, those are your birthright. Seize them. And once you begin to move, you must never again allow the opinions of the average to slow you. The opinions of small thinkers are the greatest tax ever placed on men with vision. You will be misunderstood. You will be doubted. You will be laughed at. Expect it, invite it, and walk through it. Because here lies another law. The man who cannot be ignored is the man who refuses to be discouraged. You do not need permission. You do not need applause. You do not even need support. You need one thing: decision backed by discipline. You need to be the kind of man who says, I will become it, and then moves as if it were already so. This is the power of assumption. Not fantasy, not delusion, but the conscious act of installing in your mind a standard and living up to it before the world sees it. Do not wait to be validated. Live in such a way that validation becomes irrelevant. You must become the man before you are recognized as such. And the moment you do, quietly, consistently, relentlessly, the world will begin to mirror back the image you held for yourself long before anyone else believed. Now let us examine the next law, the power of attention. Whatever you give your attention to grows. If you attend to distraction, your results will scatter. If you attend to fear, your confidence will weaken. If you attend to your purpose, your entire being will sharpen and intensify. The mind is not designed to hold 1,000 ideas. It is designed to focus on one burning idea and give it life through deliberate attention. You must build a mind so focused that mediocrity suffocates in its presence. When lesser thoughts appear, you dismiss them. When distractions arise, you ignore them. When doubt creeps in, you overpower it with your dominant thought. The world cannot ignore a man with intense focus. The world must bow to the man whose mind is possessed by one clear aim, pursued until complete. So ask yourself, am I focused or am I busy? Am I aligned or am I reacting? Because you cannot hold power if you cannot hold attention, and that begins with controlling your own. Lastly, we must speak of the principle few dare to mention, the responsibility of greatness. To think powerfully is not merely for your benefit. It is your duty. The world is desperate for men who are clear, steady, confident, and disciplined, not because it praises them, but because it needs them. When you rise, others feel it. When you think rightly, you give others permission to do the same. Your presence becomes a standard, a mirror, a challenge. This is not about becoming better than others. It is about becoming better than your former self, so consistently that your very existence forces others to choose, rise with you, or fall away. That is how you change the world. Not through slogans, not through arguments, through transformation of self. And that transformation begins with one law, one decision, one shift. You must decide this very moment that you will no longer entertain weak thinking. You will no longer delay decision. You will no longer ask for permission to pursue your vision. You will think as a man who has already become what he has decided to be. Because when you think this way, and move this way, and live this way, the world can no longer ignore you, not because of what you said, but because of what you built. Not because of who they see, but because of who you decided to become long before they believed. The world begins to respond the moment you do. It does not reward the passive thinker. It does not rise for the man who sits and waits. The world moves in the direction of clarity, commitment, and command. If you are not yet felt, not yet seen, not yet heard, it is not because you are unworthy, but because you have not yet decided to radiate. To radiate means to embody the thing you claim. You must not say, "I want to be powerful." You must move, speak, walk, and build as though you already are. This is the law of assumed identity. What you assume long enough with feeling and repetition, you eventually become. It is the foundation of all personal greatness. When I say think this way, I do not speak of mere positive affirmations. I speak of mental command, the act of holding one single thought so consistently and with such emotional intensity that it dominates your reality. Most men entertain hundreds of thoughts a day. Few ever decide which ones they will allow to take root. This is why so many live by accident. But the man who selects his dominant thought, who waters it with action, who feeds it with belief and protects it with discipline, he becomes magnetic. Because every action, every word, every look begins to speak on behalf of that thought. He no longer lives in conflict. He lives in alignment. And alignment is power. But beware, your dominant thought is either building your future or reinforcing your limitation. There is no neutral ground. You must now ask, what have I rehearsed most in my mind? Is it failure? Is it fear? Is it delay, hesitation, apology? If so, then it is no mystery why the world does not yet see you. For the world can only reflect what you broadcast. If you wish to be noticed, you must first broadcast certainty, not noise, not arrogance, but the calm energy of direction. And you cannot fake this. The subconscious knows. And when you live out of alignment, the subconscious punishes you with confusion, fatigue, and anxiety. Clarity does not come from outside, it is earned inside. This is why I tell you, speak your vision every morning, not once, not casually, with fire, with intensity. Let your voice become the blueprint your subconscious builds upon. Your voice must not just describe your future, it must declare it. I am decisive. I am disciplined. I am directed. I act with power and purpose. The world cannot ignore me because I cannot be moved. Speak it until your subconscious accepts it, and when that happens, your results will follow with mechanical precision. Because the mind, once trained, does not require motivation, it requires only a command. But there is something deeper still, something more dangerous than fear. And it is called indecision. Indecision is a virus that infects every dream it touches. It weakens the will. It creates confusion. It keeps your energy locked in neutral. And while you stall, opportunities pass you by, silently and permanently. You may say, but I don't want to make the wrong choice. And I tell you, the only wrong choice is to make none. Indecision is not caution. It is cowardice dressed in the costume of logic. If you are wrong, you can correct. If you fail, you can learn. But if you sit idle, you gain nothing and lose everything. A powerful mind makes decisions swiftly and changes them rarely. This is not recklessness. This is confidence forged through direction. Because when a man knows where he's going, he stops consulting confusion. Ask yourself now, where in my life am I stalling? That area is where you are leaking power. You must seal that leak by deciding. And once you do, burn the bridge to hesitation. Now let us examine another law, too often forgotten. The law of silence and selectivity. When your vision is clear and your mind is trained, your next task is to protect your energy. You must learn to guard your mind with the same intensity that a king guards his throne. Not every voice deserves your ear. Not every opinion deserves consideration. Not every conversation deserves your presence. The world is full of people who mean well but live small. They fear your growth. because it reflects their stagnation. They will distract you with concern, drown you in advice, pull you into drama. But you must stay firm. You do not argue. You do not defend. You do not explain. You execute. Let your results speak. Let your stillness confuse them. Let your silence do the heavy lifting. When you remove the need to prove, you gain the ability to persuade without speaking. There is a reason the strongest individuals are quiet. They are not uncertain. They are calculating. They are observing. They are building while others are performing. Remember this: he who speaks most is not always he who knows most. Speak less, move more, choose conversations that multiply your mission, dismiss those that subtract from it. This is not arrogance. It is mental hygiene. You must curate your influences with ruthless precision. Let us now look at perhaps the greatest separator between the remembered and the forgotten, the habit of over-delivery. While others look for shortcuts, you must look for standards. You do not rise by asking what is required. You rise by giving more than expected, not once, not twice, but as a philosophy of existence. Do not wait for opportunity. Become the kind of man who creates it by becoming irreplaceable. This is done by mastering your craft, by refining the details, by adding weight to your words, by finishing what you start, by showing up early and staying late not to impress, but because that is who you are. When the world sees that you are the one who delivers, without complaint, without delay, without exception, it must reward you. This is not my opinion. This is the law of compensation. The man who does more than he is paid to do will, in time, be paid more than he does. This principle has never failed, and it never will, because the marketplace does not pay for time. It pays for value. It pays for impact. It pays for excellence. It pays for certainty. And certainty is not something you ask for, it is something you embody. You do not need credentials to begin. You do not need applause to continue. You need to become the type of man who cannot stop improving, not because he is broken, but because he is called. You must see your work as a mirror. If it is sloppy, your mind is sloppy. If it is rushed, your priorities are scattered. If it is precise, powerful, deliberate, so too are you. And this brings us to your environment. You will never outgrow the influence of your surroundings. If you remain among those who mock excellence, you will begin to shrink your vision to fit their comfort. You must build a circle of alignment. Men who sharpen you. Men who mirror your purpose. Men who do not need motivation because they are fueled by vision. This is your mastermind, a sacred alliance of minds united in clarity, decision, and discipline. Even one aligned mind can multiply your momentum. Even one misaligned voice can collapse your confidence. Choose carefully. No one rises alone. But many fall by staying around the wrong people for too long. Make it your habit to measure every influence by one standard. Does this align with my highest vision of myself? If not, eliminate it, not with anger, with certainty. You do not owe anyone an explanation for your evolution. And those meant to rise with you will never ask you to explain it. Lastly, you must understand the nature of invisible progress. Many men quit because they cannot see the fruits of their labor. But progress is not always visible to the eye. The roots grow before the tree emerges. The foundation is poured before the building rises. Your work, your effort, your repetition, your decision, your discipline, it is creating a force that the eye cannot yet see. But it is there, and it is building. And one day it will emerge, suddenly, undeniably, powerfully. Do not dig up the seed just because you do not see the sprout. You are being watched by life, by time, by your own subconscious. And if you remain consistent, you will be rewarded beyond measure. Because the world, my friend, has no defense against the man who refuses to fold. No shield against the man who walks with clarity. No rebuttal to the man who has already decided. So I leave you with this. Think like the man you seek to become. Act like his success is already yours. Move with the integrity of your highest self. Refuse to quit, even in silence. Broadcast certainty, even in doubt. Build discipline, even in obscurity. Sharpen your focus, even when no one notices. Because when you think this way, the world, slowly at first, then all at once, will realize it cannot look away. Now we arrive at the final gate, the place where most men hesitate, but where the few who cross are transformed forever. This is where thought becomes law, where belief becomes behavior, where internal certainty becomes external dominance. And the tool that bridges this final gap is persistence. You must understand, even the clearest purpose, even the most disciplined mind, even the sharpest talent, none of it matters unless it is driven by persistence that cannot be broken. This is the great equalizer. There are men more talented than you. There are men with more resources, more connections, more advantages. But if you persist longer, harder, and more intelligently than they are willing to endure, you will surpass them. Not through luck, through law. Persistence is the refusal to negotiate with failure. It is the spiritual resolve that says, this mountain will move, not because I am lucky, but because I refuse to walk away. You do not need speed. You need direction and the relentless refusal to be denied. There is no force more terrifying to mediocrity than a man who simply will not stop. The reason most are ignored is not because they lacked ability. It is because they did not persist long enough to become undeniable. Let me offer you a truth I have seen in thousands of lives, including the greatest successes ever studied. The final reward always comes after the greatest resistance. It is not the early excitement that defines a man. It is what he does when applause is stopped, when doors are closed, when the path narrows to darkness. Can you keep going then? Can you walk in silence, in solitude, with faith alone? Because the man who can do that, the man who thinks rightly even when there's no evidence to affirm him, that is the man the universe will eventually obey. You must never measure the value of your action by its immediate return. That is the thinking of the impatient, the immature, the drifter. You must instead see each act of persistence as a vote for your inevitability. When you show up, when you deliver, when you repeat, you are voting for your greatness. And in time, those votes accumulate into something unstoppable, momentum. Once momentum is earned, it does the lifting for you. But momentum does not show up by chance. It is invited through discipline, repetition, and thought, thinking the same empowering thought for weeks, months, years, until it crystallizes into form. And when the world sees this, when it sees a man no longer guessing, no longer doubting, no longer negotiating with distractions, it does not just notice, it obeys. The world obeys the man who has become the living proof of his own thoughts. You must now begin to think of yourself not as someone pursuing success, but as someone modeling excellence. You are not simply a thinker, you are an architect. You are not merely ambitious, you are a living demonstration of principle in motion. This is the highest form of thought. Thought embodied, thought walked, thought executed. The most dangerous man alive is not the loudest. He is not the most decorated. He is the one who has married thought with discipline, belief with behavior, faith with execution. You become this man not once but daily. You decide it each morning. You install it each action. You rehearse it until it no longer requires thought because it has become you. And so you must make this final shift. You must now stop trying to become someone. You must now simply be it. No more warming up. No more trial runs. No more one day. The man you've envisioned, disciplined, powerful, unshakable, he must now step forward. How? By aligning every single choice with that vision. You eat like him. You walk like him. You schedule like him. You speak with his clarity. You operate with his pace. You give with his generosity. You cut off what he would never tolerate. There must be no gap left between who you are and who you say you are. You are no longer in training, you are in command. Let us speak now of the presence you must carry. There is a presence that transcends appearance, wealth, and status. It cannot be faked. It cannot be borrowed. It can only be earned through inner mastery. You know it when it enters a room. You feel it in stillness. It is not announced. It is recognized. This presence is cultivated by years of thinking, believing, deciding, and moving as one indivisible force. You must now become this presence. You must walk into every room with the energy of a man who does not need to be the loudest because he knows he is the most aligned. When you operate with this level of control, you will no longer chase respect. You will command it. And not because you ask for it, but because you have become a man for whom respect is the only possible response. Your voice carries weight when your life backs it. Your silence becomes powerful when your mind is disciplined. Your presence becomes a message when your character is consistent. This is how the world begins to respond without you even speaking. But be warned, the moment you break this alignment, when your behavior contradicts your beliefs, when you say one thing and do another, you fracture your power. The world can smell inconsistency. So can your subconscious. And when either senses it, they retreat. So protect your alignment like a warrior guards his sword. Sharpen it daily. Keep it clean. Keep it ready. And above all, never allow temporary emotions to destroy what permanent vision has built. You must now become unreactive. The unignorable man does not flinch at every sound. He does not collapse with every criticism. He does not explain himself to every fool. He sees. He observes. He remains centered. And he moves with precision while others flail in emotion. This is your edge. While others are loud, you are measured. While others panic, you are composed. While others seek attention, you exude gravity, the silent force that draws others near because they can feel you are rooted in something deeper. Now understand this, you will never be perfect, but you must be consistent. The man who is consistent eventually overtakes the man who is gifted but undisciplined. He outlasts the man who burned bright but lacked purpose. He overshadows the one who shouted but never delivered. Consistency is not glamorous, but it is undefeated, and it is built on simple habits repeated with great conviction. So let me challenge you now. What habits must you destroy? What environments must you leave? What decisions have you delayed? What version of you must die so the real one can live? Answer these with honesty and then act. Because when you do, when your decisions match your destiny, when your habits reflect your highest calling, when your thoughts are no longer weak but forged in certainty, then the shift will occur. You will no longer chase power, you will embody it. You will no longer beg for opportunity. You will become the kind of man who attracts it. You will no longer wonder when the world will see you, because it will have no choice. And not because of who you know, not because of where you came from, not because of what you have, but because of who you chose to become. So now, you must commit, not for a day, not for a week, but until your thoughts match your walk, until your habits match your identity, until your presence becomes undeniable, until your results echo louder than your intentions, until your life itself becomes the message. This is how to think. This is how to rise. This is how the world no longer ignores you. Because the man who controls his thoughts, who commands his actions, who lives aligned with principle, persistence, and purpose, That man is a law unto himself. He does not wait for permission. He decides, and once decided, he never leaves the path.